Good afternoon, dear parents. Good afternoon, my wonderful pupils. How are we all today? Hope we're doing okay. Welcome yet again to another online lesson. And today we'll be looking at creative writing. The topic for creative writing today is writing a recipe. Writing a recipe. Now, I want you to flash back to Tuesday. On Tuesday, when we talked or when we were dealing with our English comprehension, we read a passage. We read a passage about how Nina had cooked her first meal, and you saw some of the steps she took to prepare that meal. So today we'll also be writing a recipe. I know you do not know what a recipe is, so in the course of our learning today you will find out. Now, what are the objectives behind this lesson? At the end of the lesson, we hope that you would be able to write a recipe using a sequence. We have learned what a sequence is. Sequence is order from the start to the middle to finish. So that's a sequence. When something is the order of something from the first to the middle and then to the end. So that's a sequence. So you would be able to write a recipe using a sequence, and you also be able to use appropriate vocabulary to write the recipe. So you be able to use the appropriate words. Vocabulary are words. So you'll be able to use the appropriate words to write your recipe. Now, what are the learning materials? As usual, we'll be making use of our study notes and pencil. Our study notes and pencil, and the visual aids will be from the pictures that I have on my slide. From the pictures I have on my slide already, those are the learning materials we'll be making use of. So remember as well that I said our creative writing will be done in a 2D note, so not the normal notebook. I hope you have an extra separate 2D notes that you use for your creative writing, because remember it also told us that we'll be trying as well to practice our writing, to perfect our writing, to still work in practicing how to write well. So that's why we're using the 2D notes and not our normal 2A notebooks. So I hope you already have your 2D notes and you have been making use of it in the past. Now, what can you see? What can you see? What do you see? Yes, you can see an egg. What type of egg? Fried egg. And if you look closely, for those who are egg fans or egg lovers, you see that this is not just your regular fried egg, but this is a scrambled egg. So for those that love to eat egg a lot, you would understand what I'm saying. So this is not just any fried egg, but this is a scrambled egg. Now, how do you think it is prepared? Do you have an idea? For egg lovers, even if it's not scrambled egg, how do you think fried egg is prepared? How do we prepare fried egg or scrambled egg? How do you think it is prepared? If you have an idea, I would love for you to probably pause this video and then record a voice note and send to me immediately. So I want to hear your view. I want to hear your idea. I want to hear what you have to say. So how do you think this egg, which is a fried egg or scrambled egg, is prepared? Do you have an idea? If you do, just pause the video and then record a voice note and send to me ASAP. Okay, send to me as soon as possible before you continue. So I want to know. So when you're done telling me, I'm also going to share how I think scrambled egg is prepared. Let's move on. What is a recipe? Because we said our topic for today is writing a recipe. So what then is a recipe? Now let's hold on for a minute. I want you to hold on a bit and let's look at something. Now today we'll be writing cooking instructions. Yes. Today we'll be writing what? Cooking instructions. That's what we'll be doing today. We all are going to put on our chef hats and become cooks. Yes. So today we'll be writing cooking instructions. I know you've seen mommy when she's cooking in the kitchen. Maybe you've not assisted her before, but you'd have seen her preparing 1 or 2 meals for you. So today we want to role play mommy. We want to pretend to be mommy. We want to pretend to be cooks, to be chefs. Now, also another thing I want you to know is, like I said, we will not just be cooking, but we'll be writing out the instructions that we carry out while cooking. So we're going to be writing cooking instructions. When you write instructions or directions, it's called a procedure. So you need to take note that whenever you write an instruction or direction to somebody or for somebody, what you are writing is actually called a procedure. For example, most times when I give you task, you always see me, I write my instruction. That means what I expect you to do or how I expect you to carry out my task. So most times you see me write instruction and then I write 1. Do this, this, this. Okay, let's give an example. Like yesterday, let me see. Yesterday's assignment. Okay, let's take it to back to Monday, civic education. So you see the format I used when I gave you the assignment. When I gave you the study task, I wrote instruction. Number 1, make a list of this. Make a list of respectful people. Cut out and okay, make a list of respectful people. 2, cut out pictures from books and paste on sheets of paper. 3, write the. So these steps that I am outlining, these steps that I am saying, all these steps that I am saying and writing that I wrote out are known as procedure. Yes, they are known as procedure or instruction or direction. So when you write out, because there are 2 ways you can give instruction. I can either tell you with my mouth, that's orally, then it's called an instruction. I'm giving you an instruction. But when I write it out, it's called a procedure. So today we'll be writing a cooking procedure. So let's adjust our words. Let's adjust the words that we use. Now, what is a recipe? A recipe is the procedure of how to cook a meal. So, if I'm not telling you how I prepared my scrambled eggs and I decide to put it into writing, that I decide to write it out, what I am writing will be called a recipe. What I am writing is called a what? Recipe. A recipe is the procedure, the step-by-step procedure, step-by-step instruction, step-by-step directions of how to cook a meal. Okay, let's look at I know it will take a while for us to digest this, but let's look at an example here. I have an example here. So look at the picture we have on the screen now. It says procedure are instructions that tell the reader how to do something. So procedures that tell how to prepare food are called recipe, which is what we already established earlier, which is what we already said earlier, that when a recipe is a procedure of how to cook a meal. Now, this is an example of their own. Can you see an example of a recipe? Let's read. It's a recipe for how to make a cheese sandwich. How to make a cheese sandwich. What are the things you need to do? Look at, can you see the way they wrote it out? You need to list out all the ingredients. List out all the ingredients. So what are the ingredients you need to make a sandwich? What are those things, the food items, the food stuff that you need to make sandwich? You can see some of them on the picture here. We have loaves of bread, a loaf of bread, a loaf of sliced bread. We have, I think this is cheese beside it. I want to believe, yes, because we're making cheese sandwich. So you can see the cheese beside the bread. You can see your knife. So there might be more ingredients, but that's one of the things you need to note when writing a recipe. Write the ingredients. I want to make fried egg. What are the things I would need to cook my fried egg or to fry or make my scrambled eggs? Number 1, I already know I'm making egg, so egg is one of them. Egg is one of the ingredients I'll be needing. What else do you think I should need? Because I'm frying, I might probably need vegetable oil or butter, depending on your preference, depending on which you prefer. So some of the ingredients are eggs, butter or oil. I would need salt. I'm not going to give you the rest. You are opening your ears. You want to hear my clue. Tell me how you think you can prepare fried egg or scrambled egg. So I'm not going to tell you anymore. You tell me. So I just gave that as an example. So you write out what you want to prepare. What is the name of the food or the meal you want to prepare? Then you list out the ingredients. So what are the ingredients of that meal? What will you be needing? Ingredients are the things you will need to cook that meal. So what are the ingredients? You list them out. Now, you also write step-by-step instruction, the direction of how you will prepare the meal. So if the first step is, let's look at the next slide. If the first step is crack your egg, then that's the first thing I'm going to write. Step 1, crack your eggs. That's for making, or let's face what we have on the screen, making sandwich. Step 1 for making a sandwich should be probably slice your bread. Yeah, slice your bread. Then maybe step 2 might be melt your cheese. Melt your cheese. Step 3 can be spread the melted cheese on the bread. As you can see on the screen, you can see a melted cheese on the bread, on a slice of bread. So this, after writing the ingredient, after listing the ingredient, the next step is to write the things that you would do in the right order. That means from the beginning to the middle and to the end. That's why we said we'll be writing our recipe in sequence. So you're not writing it anyhow. You will not tell me you want to make a sandwich and the first thing you do, or you write for writing the step, you now say fry the bread or just fry the egg. Anybody that you're telling will know that you are saying the wrong thing, because frying the egg is not the first step to cooking fried egg. That's not the first step. So you have to write it in order, because you're writing a direction. It has to be in order from the beginning, the next one was the next step, to the middle and to the end, in sequence. So that's what this picture tells us. You can see step 1, step 2, step 3. Let's move on. Now, what are the things you need to take note of when writing a recipe? We have already mentioned some of that. Number 1, the meal. What you want to cook. What is that food that you want to cook? Probably my own favorite food is yam porridge. So if I want to write a recipe of how to prepare yam porridge, the title will be How to Prepare Yam Porridge. That's the title, because that's the meal I want to prepare. So I have to write that first. How to prepare yam porridge. That's the meal, the name of the meal. Then when I'm done writing that, I can move on to list the ingredients. So I'll now list the ingredients. Ingredients to prepare yam porridge. And I'll list them. Okay, what are the ingredients I might need? What are ingredients, like I said, are the things you need to cook, the food items that you need to cook that meal. So one of the food items, one of the ingredients for yam porridge is yam. Then we have palm oil, water. There's definitely water, salt, spices, pepper, crayfish if you want, fish. So you can see that's the way I'm going to list it, one after the other. I'm not writing it like a note. I will not jumble all the words together. No, one after the other. So when you are listing, that's why I said you need to list your ingredients. So you don't write it like a note. I use this. No, you are not telling a story. You list it. So if number 1 ingredient is yam, you write number 1 yam. If number 2 ingredient is palm oil, you write it palm oil. 3, fish. 4, oil, not oil anymore. 4, crayfish. 5, salt, 6, spices, 7, like that. So you don't tell stories, you just list. When you're done with the ingredients, then you move on to procedure. Now this is where you now write a detailed direction or instruction, step by step instruction of how you would then prepare your food. So step 1 could be peel your yam. That's step 1. Step 2, slice the peeled yam. Step 3, because before you start putting anything on the fire, you have to put all this, you have to do all these things. Step 3, wash the sliced yams. So your procedures and steps should be straightforward. Don't tell stories and you are going round and round in circles. So peel the yam and do. Straight to the point. Peel the yam, slice the peeled yam, wash the sliced yam, like that. Number 4, after washing, you could then say, oh, get your pot, put water in your pot, like that, step by step, from the start to the beginning to the end, like that. And lastly, you make sure you use the right cooking terms. The right cooking terms. Cooking terms are the words that you use to cook, the words that are used in the kitchen, and they are like kitchen verbs or cooking verbs, the actions that you carry out when cooking. So you have to use the right word. So if I mean peel, I shouldn't say slice. If what I mean is to peel. Now let's take note of let's look at some of these cooking terms before I go on. Let's look at some of these cooking terms. You can see some of the cooking verbs. We have roll. That's if I'm trying to bake, then I need to roll out my batter, roll out my flour or something. We have so many of them. We have knead too. These are examples of cooking terms. We have chop. When I want to make my porridge, probably one of the steps would be to chop my vegetables. If I want to use vegetables, I need to chop my vegetables. So you can see that's one of the cooking verb. We have to cook. Cook is also another verb. To slice, break or crack. Some people say break and some say crack your eggs. Taste, pour, fry, peel. Can you see what peel is? Can you see the action of peel? To peel something is to remove the skin. Just like you peel your oranges or you peel your yam or cocoa yam or something. To measure, to grill. That's why I use pictures so that you can see the word and also see the action that goes with the word. So what it means is that if what I am trying to say is peel your yam, I should not write slice your yam, because slicing your yam is not the first step. You peel first and then slice. So you have to know the right term that you use. Don't give one term to the other. Don't give one word to the other. If you mean break your egg, don't say heat, or don't say fry. You have to use the right term. So that's why I said one of the tips here is make sure to use the cooking terms. Make sure you use the right cooking terms when you're writing your recipe. There are so many more cooking terms. So many. Yes, there are so many more. Lots more. These are just some of them. We have mix, stir, pour, roast, fry, cook, boil. There are so many, lots of them. So you have to make sure you're using the right one. For example, I will not say, if for instance I want to write the recipe to cook rice. That's if I want to write the recipe for boiled rice. I shouldn't say number 1, fry your rice, when I actually mean boil the rice. So all these terms mean different things. Can you now write a recipe? So imagine I say, can you write a recipe of how to prepare noodles? I know everybody loves noodles, and noodle is a fast food. So very easy to prepare, doesn't take so long, easy peasy lemon squeezy. So if I now ask you to write a recipe of how to prepare a noodle, can you do that? Can you? Easy, it's very easy. Like I said, the first thing is, what do you want to prepare? noodles. So you write it boldly and clearly how to prepare noodles. Then what's the next step? You write the ingredients. What are the things, the food items I'll need? You list it. 1, the noodle itself. 2, uh 2, water. 3, spices or seasoning. Yes, can use seasoning. We use seasoning for noodles. 4, what other thing? I think that's right about it. Depending on what you now decide to use to cook your noodle. So some people want to add vegetables like carrots, cucumber, pepper, tomatoes. You can add them. So if you are going to make use of that, you write it as well as part of your ingredients. So if you really can write a recipe, how would you feel writing a recipe of your favorite food? So I know everybody has a favorite food. You have this food that you love so much. So I want you to do something for me. I want you to, if you don't know how to cook it, it's okay. It's fine. You just need to consult with your mom. Your mommy is your number one chef. So you go to your mom to ask her, Mommy, my favorite food is, okay, for those that like fried rice, or for those that like spaghetti, you can go to your mommy to say, oh, Mommy, my favorite food is spaghetti, and my task for this week is to write a recipe of my favorite food. So, how is spaghetti cooked? So you might need to make a mini research by asking her, and then while you are asking her, you can then start writing down your recipe. You can write down your recipe. So, I hope that you have learned something new today. I hope you've learned something new today, and I hope to see your recipe. You would also get mine. Yeah, I'm going to give you a detailed step-by-step instruction of my own recipe, the recipe of my favorite food. I'm also still expecting the answer to the first question, which is, how do you think, let's go back to it. So yes, how is this prepared? So I'm also expecting the answer to this question. So that's all for today. Do have a lovely day ahead.